Welcome to another Founder Wisdom Pod. We have Julia Van Arsdale with us today. She's the founder at Juwels&Co. She's a creative director as well. She's a speaker. She's all about female entrepreneurship. So, Julia, welcome to the podcast. Tell us a bit more about yourself and what you've been up to.
Yeah, thanks. Hi, Charles. Nice to meet you. Well, I'm Julia. As you said, I am co-founder of Juwels&Co. My other partner, her name is also Julia, sits in Munich. I sit here in Seattle. And we're trying to create a company across continents, across different time zones, which comes with their own strengths and struggles. But yeah, it's been fun so far. We have high hopes for 2026. And are very much looking forward.
Right. And what's your background? I believe you started as a photographer, right?
Yeah,
Then
exactly.
a designer.
Yeah, exactly. Julia and I actually did meet at photography school. So that was many years ago. So I did photography, and then I moved to San Francisco as an au pair, actually from Germany, and spent a good amount there and found my way back into, interior design, being passionate about interior design, graphic design, and then decided to go back to school, study communication design, visual design, became very fascinated with websites, but also always did photography on the side. So I kind of offered a package of both things, because usually people, who need headshots, they need them for the website. So I was able to help them out with that. And and kind of just like explored that area. Always very creative.
Airbnb Luxe. I think you were at Airbnb Luxe. Tell us a bit more about your time there.
Yeah, I mean, time of my life. It was amazing. I loved, the community, just like, we're starting from the building. It was just the coolest meeting rooms you could imagine, up to the project that we worked on. So Airbnb has their own hubs where, you have Marketplace, you have Airbnb Plus, and then you have Airbnb Luxe. And we very much focused on the high end. So think about David Bowie's private island. And I was tasked with figuring out how to photograph those properties to align with the Airbnb look and feel. And that go up all the way to how do you scale photography in that way? How do you onboard photographers around the world? And just came up with a concept, and then fairly closely worked with the product design team on making sure that the PDPs really can tell the story of the house, of the homes, that then we capture with photography. So it was just all in all an exciting time. I really grew as a person, as a leader, as a designer. It was incredible that Airbnb was able to, bring me in. They call you when you get hired, you get like all these kind of fun things, and they say like, welcome home. And you're just like, oh yeah, that feels still like home. So does San Francisco. So amazing time. Met amazing people. So, yeah.
And right after that, you decided to launch your own company, like say post-COVID. Why did you decide to take that crazy decision and launch another jewelry company? Because there's so much, right? There's so much competition in that space. What was the idea?
Yeah, totally. I would say it wasn't necessarily my idea. I was let go because of COVID. And I was pregnant during the time. So we actually moved from San Francisco here to Seattle, because that's where my husband is from. And that's where, we had family around, because all my family is still in Germany. And honestly, like being a new mom, figuring that life out by losing a job, not having that security. And then you spend a lot of time on the couch, with your newborn. And so I really explored any opportunity. My brain went from all the different areas, from going back to photography to starting something completely new. And I should say, during my Airbnb time or in my San Francisco time, I started several small things. Let's not even call them businesses, but like I always had it in me, that entrepreneur kind of wanting to own my own things. And it really came that I was approached by a good friend who needed some branding help for her jewelry company. And that's how I got introduced to lab-grown diamonds, to the whole diamond industry. And Julia and I then reconnected. We were connected throughout the whole time, but we really reconnected. And she got really excited because her background is from Germany, and she worked for Vogue in Germany. And so, the high fashion, my background in travel and luxury, it just felt like, oh my God, we might have found our new home. And that's where we said, we're two Julias. Let's call it Jules. That's what my friends called me in school. That's what her friends called her, and here we are 4 years later, running Jules. And yeah, that's so it wasn't necessarily my decision to say like, oh, I'm starting now. It just kind of came slowly to me.
Right. And how do you distinguish yourselves from all these other brands? I see the designs are quite special, right? Like I haven't seen them elsewhere. You have a moat when it comes to the logistics side of things. Like how do you do things differently?
Yeah, I mean, it took a while. I think 2025 was really a defining year for us to understand who are we, who do we want to be. We started Jules thinking we want to go into the engagement direction, wanting to offer wedding, anything about wedding essential items. We were super excited about lab grown, so we learned a lot about that. But I mean, her background, she is very creative as well. My background as a designer, we felt still the need that we wanted to design and have a kind of like our own signature. As a photographer, you get hired because you have your own style, and we kind of felt the same in the jewelry industry. We wanted people to come to us because we have these cool designs or meanings behind our jewelry, our pieces. And I mean, we launched the website with anything you can make. You can see like tennis bracelets, like all types of different jewelry. I call them essentials because we were able to make them, but we slowly but surely, it just didn't really feel like us. And that's when we were like sitting down. It's like, okay, what is us? Who do we want to be seen? When you meet someone, how do you want to introduce yourself? Like, what drives you? What's your passion? And that's why we decided, you know what? We cut all the essential items. We have like one more category or collection where we are like so close to cutting them because they feel like, oh, you can get them anywhere, And so that's always like when we design something new nowadays, we always like, okay, does this exist somewhere? Is there meaning behind? And does it feel right? So it's a journey for sure.
Right. And the back end of the business, where do you actually make these? Do you stock most of them, or do you actually start production once you receive the order? Exactly, how does that work?
Yeah, exactly. So it's called made to order. We get an order in, and our studio's in Los Angeles. So we have a whole system, we get an order in, they see it on their end, I see it on my end. I might finalize the order, if there's an engraving, I make sure it's in the system. If the customer wants a specific font in that engraving, I make sure. Or if the customer reached out and asked like, hey, I actually need it next Saturday, which we had last night. I was like, okay, we will make it work. But usually, so we get the order in, and it takes about 10 till 20 days to make a specific ring. And really from casting to polishing to setting the stones and then getting it out of the house and to the customer. So yeah.
Right. And the marketing side of it, I see you do some collabs. I think I've seen Kardashian in there. You've been featured on Vogue. How do you manage that aspect? Is that the main marketing channel?
So marketing, I have to admit, this is all like Julia's specialty. She does social media marketing, and that's why I felt like it's such a superpower to, do this with someone who has that knowledge, because everything needs to be marketed. You bring out a new product, and we think, okay, but we need to market. We need to find the space. So we are basically on Meta. We're on Instagram. Haven't figured out TikTok just yet for us, but how do we manage? I mean, Julia and I just, we dive in, we do it, we test extremely a lot, and that's really Julia day and night. And so, yeah, it's definitely. I mean, the whole influencers phase it's incredible for us. We were super lucky with some stuff, and yeah, but it's just trying.
What trends have you seen in your space, like lab-grown diamond, for example? Is that something you use as well? And what about AI to actually personalize a custom piece for me, for example?
Yeah, totally. I mean, to answer your question about trends, which is very incredible, because we launched the Trois ring with gemstones, color gemstones, based on your birthstone. So when you're born in July, your birthstone is ruby. Yeah, here we go. You have it. And that was something that Julia actually came up with, because she wrote an article for German Vogue 10 years ago at this point. And that was our first, serious collection that we launched. And I want to say, we set that trend of colored stones based on your background, based on your birth month or your pet's birth month, or any, other milestone you want to celebrate. And I want to say, and I mean, that's our bubble that we live in, but I want to push the trend. If we want to be trendsetters, I want to push the trend in the jewelry industry, that you get yourself a design that tells your story, that really has meaning behind. And that is really Julia and my goal. With every collection you see on our site, you're able to include yourself into it, and you're able to see yourself into it. So yeah, that was important for us. And for the lab grown, yes, I mean, that's definitely a trend in the industry. I would say you have lab grown diamonds like sand on the beach. They're everywhere now. And of course, there's still the debate between lab grown and mined diamonds. And for us, it really depends on the customer. I mean, we don't judge. If you decide lab grown is fitting for you, then let's find you the right one. If you believe you want a mined diamond, then go for it. We're really not here to, have an opinion on what you want in your ring.
There you go. And now you're 3 years in with that one. What have been the challenges of running that business, and what have been the victories?
Yeah, I would say with Jules specifically, and Julia and I, really the challenges have come to, we're not in the same time zone. We're not in the same room. So I would say that has been a big challenge, but we're creative. I mean, we figure out when we meet, we have specific times for her in the morning, for me in the evening, or the other way around, or sometimes on the weekend. We have a WhatsApp channel where we constantly just leave voicemails behind. So I think personally that is still a challenge, because on the other hand, we see when we're together, sales go up, obviously, because we post a lot about us. We are in front of the camera, and obviously people want to see us together, because we are that team that makes jewels. So I think personally, if I had a wish, I would love if we could move together closer. And then, yeah, I mean, the other part from a business perspective, as the e-commerce in that high-end section, we sell items for like $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 up. You don't just go on our website and say like, oh yeah, I'm going to buy this today. So we have a ton, and I say a ton, at least 10 touch points that we have to have with our customers. And a lot of like, you can't try them on, right? Like, so I think a challenge, or better, a learning, is that we want to find ways to bring our jewelry closer. So we're thinking pop-ups, could we do pop-ups in different cities like Munich, Seattle, LA, like, make a road trip. So I think that's from a business perspective, or as an e-commerce, the hardest part. You can't touch it, and you kind of want to, you want to see the quality. Yeah.
There you go. You are a proponent of female entrepreneurship. What do you see female entrepreneurs, or actually females, lack when it comes to starting business? Is it mostly a problem that most females don't start a business, or is it an ecosystem problem? Like, what are you seeing?
I would say, I mean, as a female, the only really difference I see is we might be tasked with starting a family, and that is definitely a full-time job. I mean, I changed completely, becoming a mom and making that decision that I want to be a mom. It is scary. It's such a different story for every woman. It can be amazing. It can be scary. It can be hard. I unfortunately had not unfortunately, I had a path of depression. I had a path of losing myself because I was always very independent and had that drive of entrepreneurship and becoming a mom. I wasn't able right away to see it as another job, as another, entrepreneur excitement. I saw it as, oh my God, I have to sit now here and feed that little thing and make sure it's alive. So I think as a woman making that decision, you are the one that has to carry for now. Who knows? Technology, AI, let's change this. But I think that is really where I see where it gets tricky, building a family and finding a partner who is supportive. I mean, I was lucky that my husband, I took a job back on at Airbnb when my daughter was 3 months old, because I mentally needed to do something else but just feed a newborn. So he was like, you know what, I'm staying home with that little girl, and I'm going to take care of her full time. And so, but not everyone has that. And so I think that is what I'm seeing a lot in my environment of women, just like in my age, figuring out, do I want to focus on my career, or do I want to have a child and pause that career and then move back onto my career path?
All right, I'm about to have a daughter in like 3 weeks from now. Is the nanny strategy a good strategy to keep my wife sane?
I'm telling you, yes. Get yourselves. So we did a nanny share, which basically means we had a nanny come to our house, and we had another family dropping off their kid to our house. First of all, you split the bill of the nanny, the hourly bill, and then your one grows up with a little brother or sister, which I thought was incredible. So, oh my God, that's exciting. Good
Yeah.
luck.
And what about if the nanny does the night shift, like 8 hours, just staying with the kids while my wife gets some sleep?
Yeah, we never did that. Honestly, transparency, it's very expensive. We didn't have the money. But man, if I have a second one, I would definitely have someone for the night.
That's my top priority right now, figuring this one out in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Because with work, it's been quite busy, and we need to start interviewing people, and obviously trying to see if family members can do it. Obviously, there would be a pay if it's family or friends, but someone we trust, right? I guess the main priority. So let's see, and what kind of tech I can get. I'm always like a systems guy, and like monitoring the kid and trying to automate some processes and all of that. That's pretty much how I think.
Have you heard about the snoo? I think it's snoo, that bat that is automatically, and when the baby cries, it like wiggles a little bit more.
I think the CEO on my podcast, if I'm not mistaken.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Actually, that's a good thing. I'm probably gonna buy one of these if they can ship to Mexico. Do you have one or do you have two?
I have one, but she's asking for a
Okay.
sister. So I'm in the middle
So
of
you're
figuring
bracing
out.
yourself again to.
Exactly. Absolutely. I mean, I had conversation with Julia, my husband, almost every evening, we're just like, okay, is it the year? Can we make it? Because he has his own business as well. So it's just, and now what it means to bring in another human in the world. Before you don't know how much a nanny costs. You're not able kind of for business to make that whole plan, because you just go in, you're kind of naive. You kind of just go in and go with the flow. But now looking
It's
back,
just like starting a
what
business.
exactly. So yeah.
And how do you manage fear, generally speaking, in business or in any new endeavors in life, like fear of the unknown?
Well, I and that's definitely a struggle. Like I feel like 2025 was taking over. That fear kind of felt like took over, because we had a really strong end of the year, and then I was like, oh my god, hopefully we will do the same sales, or same with family stuff. I'm trying to, and that sounds so stereotypically, but like I'm trying to be a lot more aware of the now. I meditate. I believe in the universe. I believe in some higher up there that my path has been painted, and I'm just getting symbols and signs where to go, and that I'm on the right path. And I just try to trust. Let's say that. I don't know. I don't want to say, in something specific, but I try to trust that I'm doing the right thing. I'm do a lot of like meditation. I listen to a lot of Dharma talks. I found myself kind of back into the whole Buddhism kind of Zen mind, where you should look at everything as it was new. And also just be thankful. I feel like that's really where I want to focus on, not having fear. Just be thankful that you will have a child in 3 weeks, and kind of replacing the fear with being thankful. Like, we don't get a sale in today, but hey, I still have my company. How cool is that? So that's kind of, I don't know that's if that will work
It's a
in
good
3 weeks,
answer.
but I'm trying to hold on to just being there, and not get too caught up.
Yeah. And the more you practice these habits, right? Thankfulness, meditation, reframing things, the better you get at them. So I think like sometimes having a schedule may help with that. For example, I run this founder meditation group. I'll invite you to it, but we meet like weekly and we just meditate, right? And just the fact that it's in my calendar and there's 40 other founders invited to this, it forces me to actually do it. And I mean, I've done these 10-day silent meditation things and pretty extreme meditation stuff, but even I, to this day, I have problems just like forcing myself to sit down, close my eyes, and stop thinking, right? Because entrepreneurs were like thinking machine. The more we think, generally, the better the outcome will be. But there's also diminishing returns, right? So
Exactly.
you need to think to some degree, and then after you need to stop thinking. Also, just generate cortisol, keep you awake, and stuff like that. So, yeah, thanks for being on today, Julia. Where can people find out more about you and your company?
Well, definitely Juwels&Co. That's our company. That's the website. In the About section is you learn a lot about Julia and me. On my LinkedIn, Instagram, trying to show myself on stories. So yeah, that's where you can find me.
As Charles and Julia.